Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. In this video I'm going to be showcasing my London session entry model from A to Z. I will not miss anything out. I will show you what I do every single day in order to get payouts, pass funded accounts, you name it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. On my screen right now is a typical sell day setup. Just before I tell you what's going on, I'll list the concepts that you need, so you may need to go and do some research on these yourself before coming back to this video to actually learn the model. So the concepts that you'll need is you'll need to know liquidity, you'll need to know your PDAs, which is a premium discount array. This is your fair value gaps, your order blocks, your mitigation blocks, your breaker blocks. For the sake of this video though, I am just going to be talking about fair value gaps. You also need to know what a market structure shift is. It would be good for you to know what power of 3 is as well. However, this is not required. So, as I said on the screen right now, we're looking at a sell day setup or a sell session setup. This grey box here is our Asian session. The Asian session typically accumulates, or you might have heard the word consolidates. This is because there's lower volume in this time. The market doesn't really manipulate or distribute anywhere. Within a session, there is obviously a high of the session and a low of the session. This acts as a great liquidity point for us to target and look for sweeps either above, taking out buy side liquidity, or below, taking out sell side liquidity. For a typical sell setup, we want buy side liquidity to be taken as a first point of call. So this is where we see the Asian session high get swept. From the Asian session high getting swept, we are then looking for there to be a tap into that 1 hour PDA. In this case, it's a 1 hour fair value gap. I want this tap to happen either just before or in the silver bullet hour. The silver bullet hour is 8 to 9 AM GMT, that is also 3 to 4 AM Eastern time. Now that we're in silver bullet hour, and we've had that tap into that 1 hour fair value gap, I am then dropping down to a lower time frame. This could be the 5 minute, the 3 minute, or even the 1 minute. In that lower time frame, I am then looking for there to be a market structure shift. Because we're looking for sells, I need that market structure shift to be to the downside, like we can see here. After we've had that market structure shift, I want there to be a retracement into a fair value gap of the time frame that you've chosen to drop down to. So if you're on the 1 minute, you're looking for a 1 minute fair value gap, 5 minute fair value gap, so on and so on. After I get that tap back into that fair value gap, I am going to simply enter into a sell. My stop loss will be at the previous high, or even the high of that 1 hour, or even the top of the 1 hour fair value gap. And then my first take profit, or my only take profit, however you want to do it, will be at the Asian low. Or if you're having two take profits, you can take partials at the Asian low, and then you can target a 1 hour draw on liquidity, a 1 hour liquidity point down below. This all happens within the 8 to 9 time. You can kind of judge whether it's before or after, so maybe an entry comes in at 9:15, that's still fine, as long as you kind of don't go past 9:30. That's kind of the rule of thumb that I've made for this model. That was our sell setup. Now looking at our buy setup, it's the exact same, just inversed. So we have our Asian session range here. We then sweep the low of the Asian session range into that 1 hour fair value gap during our silver bullet hours, 8 to 9 AM. We then have a market structure shift to the upside on the 5 minute time frame. From this, we get that retracement into that 5 minute fair value gap, at which we'll enter into buys with our stop loss at the previous low, or we can have our stop loss at the bottom of that 1 hour fair value gap. Now that we understand the model, I'm going to show you two trade examples, a buy and a sell setup. Let's start off with the buy setup. So I start my day looking at the 1 hour time frame at about 6 to 7 AM, whenever I wake up really. And this is me just identifying that 1 hour PDA that I want to take before looking to enter buys or sells. So in this case, I'm looking for a buy setup. This here is our buy setup, so I'm just identifying a PDA that I can enter buys off of. We did have this 1 hour fair value gap. However, that was hit way before that silver bullet hour. So I'm now looking at this 1 hour fair value gap to get hit before I look for the rest of my criteria. Moving down to the 5-minute time frame now, after identifying that 1 hour fair value gap, I'm waiting for the 8 o'clock time to hit. So 8 o'clock's there, that's the start of our silver bullet hour, and 9 o'clock is here. 8 o'clock hits, and we've now tapped into that 1 hour fair value gap. So now I'm waiting for that 5-minute market structure shift, which we do get here. We get our market structure shift there. You see how we created a new low down here before reversing and breaking this high here. That is classed as a market structure shift. We then had this fair value gap created off of that market structure shift, which we tap into with this candle. So as soon as we tap, we enter into buys. Our stop loss is at that low, that 5-minute low, and our take profit is at that Asian high for a 3.74 risk reward. Let's play the trade out. We did reverse a little bit before going and absolutely smashing that take profit, which happens right about now. So this was a buy that I took. I'll put the proof of that on the screen right now from my MetaTrader 5. It is a trade that I took on the 2nd of November on GBP USD. I did forget to mention the 3 best pairs for trading this strategy is GBP USD, Euro USD, and GBP JPY. This is just where I found the most consistent entries and the best win rate and risk rewards. It's just by using these 3 pairs. If you're going to just stick to one pair, I do recommend GBP JPY. It's a lot quicker moving than the other 2, and it offers more entries. Now that we've seen that buy setup, let's have a look at this sell setup. I'm going to be showing you how to use the 1-minute time frame now. It's a little bit different than the 5-minute time frame, but it's roughly the same. So it's currently 6 AM. I've identified this 1 hour fair value gap as my point of interest. So let's wait for that to get hit at around 8 o'clock. It can be just before, it could be within the 8 to 9 time. It doesn't really matter to me. 8 o'clock hits, and we're now at about 8:15, and that fair value gap has been hit. Now we're waiting for that market structure shift to the downside, which we got here. And we also, in the process of that market structure shift, had this fair value gap created. Only a small fair value gap, but they all count. Next candle taps back in, so we enter for sells. The difference with the 1-minute and the 5-minute is that at the 5-minute I would put my stop at the previous high. The 1-minute I'd always put my stop at the top of that 1 hour fair value gap or the bottom of that 1 hour fair value gap, depending on whether you're entering in for buys or sells. And then my take profit is down here at the Asian low. This indicator, by the way, is called the Asian range by Nico948. It's very useful into just displaying the Asian range. It has its low, it has its high. You can just use this line. You can draw a line across like this, looking for the high to get taken out. I just find it very useful to have on my chart. Now let's play the trade out. We get another tap into that fair value gap if you did miss your first entry as well. And there we go, our take profit gets smashed. Yet again, I will be putting proof of this trade up on the screen as well, as it is one I also took. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick run through of my London session entry model. I do have a free Discord in which I put some trades in from time to time. I also obviously have my private groups, and I've got a mentorship starting up soon. I will also link a free PDF in the description on this model. This covers liquidity, market structure shifts, and fair value gaps in a bit more detail if you didn't need to know these concepts as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great rest of your day.
Go slow, shorty hot like the ozone. More money, need more peso. I know I'm the best she ever. She ain't have better. She never been wetter. Live as I ain't no average fella. I spin her around propeller.